Today's topic is on why chasing perfection is keeping you from true love, real love, or even having close and connected relationships with others, and more importantly, yourself. Are you the type of person who has unrealistic expectations for yourself and for others? Do you allow yourself to be a hot mess at times? Do you allow others to see your vulnerability, to see when you are struggling, when you are not at your best? Or do you wear a mask and hide those parts of yourself because you fear that if you let the others see all the parts of yourself, that person might walk away? Or even you may feel as if you can't tolerate your own imperfections, your parts that are afraid, that are wounded, that are struggling. And so you keep pushing those parts of yourself to the side. You ignore them, you dismiss them, you discount them. For those of you that are new to my podcast, welcome and thank you for being here. I am Kim Gross, the host of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. And today is all about perfectionism. It's all about removing that mask. When I talk about wearing a mask, what I'm talking about is patterns that we developed early on in our lives. And oftentimes, these patterns are so ingrained, they're so familiar that it feels like they're just part of who we are. It's just part of our personality. The truth is that it's not part of who you are. It's not part of your essence, your true self. It's actually a way you learned to cope, to protect yourself, to avoid rejection, to avoid being abandoned. These patterns are very subconscious, so they're running below the surface. You may not even be aware of them, or you might be. And if you are aware of your patterns, that's amazing because that's the first step in my 5 step power pathway. This 5 step power pathway that I created is a tool for your toolkit to help you unhook from these ingrained patterns, to unmask so that you can be your true, free, liberated self. Let's talk about what the prison feels like when you are stuck in this mental place of being a perfectionist and how it keeps you from feeling love, from being love, and how you unconsciously feel this urge to chase after perfection because you believe on some level that if you keep chasing the perfection, you'll get the outcome you want, or you will protect yourself from being hurt, from being vulnerable. And that right there is one of the things that makes it so difficult, is that by not allowing yourself to be vulnerable with others is cutting yourself off from the opportunity of true connection. Let me give you an example. I love to share by using stories because I believe that people can tend to connect more when they hear a story. I share often on this podcast that I have an autoimmune condition and have been having several flare ups lately. One of the things they do subconsciously, actually, it's not even subconscious anymore. I'm aware of my patterns, I'm fully aware, but the program is still running, right? It's just like a computer when the hard drive needs to be cleaned up or you have to reprogram the hard drive. That's what I'm trying to do, is reprogram my subconscious mind, the programs that are running below the surface. And one of those programs is that my needs are not important. I am not deserving of sharing my vulnerabilities, my needs, my neediness with another, because if I do, one, it will be rejected, and two, I might be viewed as being weak. So, what do? I muscle through. I put on a brave face, a strong face. I'm okay. I can handle it. I will take care of this all on my own. I show up for myself. I don't need other people. And when I'm not feeling well, as I was this past week, I had a really tough week. Just felt so sick and scared, actually. There were some moments when I felt like I might need to go to the emergency room. And this can happen often for me when I get these flare ups. They feel pretty intense, and I'm always concerned or worried that I need to go to the emergency room. So I was not feeling well. I was scared. I was in this place of I can handle it on my own. I was overwhelmed. I just had so many emotions, feelings, thoughts, and beliefs going on. A lot of them were limiting beliefs, a lot of them were negative thoughts, but I was not in a very powerful state where I was able to get myself centered and shift my mindset, because I was in this very vulnerable flight or flight place. Getting to the point of why chasing perfection can keep you from having love or feeling love or having close and connected relationships. I said to myself, enough of this trying to be brave and be perfect all the time. I'm going to allow myself to be fully honest and vulnerable, even if I appear to be a hot mess. I'm going to share with both my husband and my son, who was here at the time, exactly what I was feeling in that moment. I said, I feel overwhelmed. I feel exhausted. I feel scared. I don't know what to do. And I just allowed myself to be a hot mess. And the truth is that they both were able to understand and have some compassion. And as a result of sharing my truth, I was being my true self in that moment. I was less than perfect. I definitely wasn't at my best self. By allowing myself to be exactly how I was in that moment, I ended up feeling a lot better. So I ask you this question: where in your life do you find yourself hiding? And with who do you find yourself hiding? Even if it's just this nuance, this slight holding back of saying one little thing or being one kind of way with either a friend, maybe it is with a sibling, maybe it's with a coworker. Where do you find yourself hiding because you are afraid of being your true self? You don't want to be viewed as being a hot mess, and so you don't share your vulnerabilities.
Hey, it's Kim here, interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast episode to let you know about an opportunity to go deeper into this work. I invite you to head over to Amazon.com and pick up your copy of my book, Free to Be: A Pathway to Inner Liberation. If you are looking to unhook from people pleasing and perfectionistic patterns, if you're looking to have a better way of identifying your patterns and then how you can unhook so you can be free to step outside your comfort zone, free to have more meaningful relationships in your life, free to be your true self without hiding behind a mask any longer. If you desire any of this, then I encourage you to pick up your copy. And if you enjoy my book as much as I loved writing it, please go on over and leave a review on Amazon. You can leave a star review or written review. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode.
Now, let me add a little caveat to this. You don't have to share everything with everyone. It is important to be smart and to have discernment. Brene Brown, who is one of the biggest gurus on vulnerability, even shares that it is important to have discernment and that when you're going to share your heart and your true self with another person, that you share with someone who deserves it, has earned the trust, is what I'm trying to say. If you have a person in your life who is consistently dismissive or abusive, belittling, narcissistic, not compassionate, not empathic, then you probably don't want to open your heart with them because you know that your heart most likely will not be safe. And also, there's a time and a place, right? If you're at work and you're sharing your heart and vulnerability and being a hot mess with your coworkers all day, every day, and it's interfering with your job performance, then that might not be the time and place. Let's say, for example, you come into work in the morning and you are just in a bad place. You had a rough morning, maybe a big argument with your teenager or someone, or you just woke up feeling off and you don't know why. Is it reasonable to be able to come in and say someone that you've worked closely with for many years and you become somewhat friendly with that person? You could just simply share and say, I'm having this kind of day, or I'm feeling a certain kind of way. I'm a hot mess right now. Just wanted you to know in case I'm not being the best version of myself today. And your coworker might even say, hey, I'm here for you if you need to chat or share. This is how we form connections. At the end of the day, this is what we all desire. We are wired for connection and we want to have that type of meaningful connection with other people. What ends up not going well for us is very difficult to live a lifetime this way. So many people will spend decades or their entire lifetime not allowing another to see who they truly are because they're trying to be perfect. They have super high expectations of themselves, how they should look, how they should act, how they present themselves, what zip code they live in, what kind of car they drive, what their house looks like. It is exhausting to have that kind of non-stop pressure on yourself to be perfect. And I can promise you that if that is your main way of living, like 90%, 95% of the time, you are chasing perfection. You have super high expectations of yourself. You are hard on yourself. I can almost guarantee that you do not love yourself. You do not have a great amount of self love. And you probably have a subconscious program that's running that will tell you that you're not enough and you're not worthy. That's the mental prison of wearing the perfection mask. So, what can you do? I've already mentioned my 5 step power pathway. And the very first thing you have to do to change any behavior is to be aware. If you're unaware that you're wearing this mask or perpetuating these programs, that you have these subconscious beliefs that you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, and you're putting this unrealistic expectation on yourself and you're just so hard all the time. And let me tell you that it can be so sneaky and insidious because I have come a long way in healing and in cultivating self love. And sometimes it even catches me by surprise when I'm in a situation and I have been super hard on myself. Sometimes I don't even see the fact that I'm being hard on myself. And it takes another person like my coach or a friend to say, Kim, you're doing a great job. Look how much you have done. Look at your progress. You're being so hard on yourself. So, awareness is the first key. And then the second step of the 5 step power pathway is about taking ownership. Only you can change this. There is no one out there on the outside world that's going to come along and wave a magic wand and make all of this go away. I wish it were that perfect, that simple, and that easy. But the truth is that it takes time and it takes work. But what I will say about the hard work is that it is so worth it. It is so worth it because when you do the work, the healing work, and when you learn how to reprogram your subconscious beliefs and you unhook from the patterns, you unmask, the transformation is long lasting and it's powerful. And what you are able to have as a result, which is freedom from the perfectionistic pattern, is about having more peace in your life because you don't have that nonstop chatter of do more, you're not doing enough. And again, as I said, it can still show up. That even now, today, when those patterns show up for me, I'm like, again, or if someone has to point out to me, Kim, you're being really hard on yourself, it only takes me a second to realize, oh my goodness, yes, I see it now. I have been super hard on myself. And I know exactly what to do to shift it because I've been doing this work for so long and I just apply my 5 step power pathway to myself every single day. Before, I would have been miserable for days, weeks, months. Now I can catch it in a matter of minutes and shift it in a matter of minutes. So that's the beauty about that. And I know how to shift my mindset. Mindset shifting or reframing is huge. It's a huge tool that you can use to help yourself unhook from patterns as well. And then, more importantly than reframing and once you have the awareness, once you take the ownership, the most important thing for a perfectionist who is being super hard on oneself, having high expectations, is to cultivate a practice of self compassion and grace is the antidote to perfectionistic tendencies. And when you can start to have more compassion for yourself and loving kindness for yourself, you will be able to have more compassion for the people in your life. You will give others more grace and space. So I'm going to say this right now because I want to tell you in real time how this plays out. I hear this chatter in my mind as I'm speaking to you, and that chatter is the negative bias. My inner critic is saying to me, Kim, you're just saying to the listeners what you say all the time. You're just repeating yourself. You're not saying anything new and anything different. Who's going to want to listen to you? Why would they want to keep listening if you just keep repeating yourself? The reason that I'm sharing this in real time is to show how powerful that perfectionistic tendency, that perfectionistic behavior program can be. It can really hook in. And I want to say to you that if you have perfectionistic tendencies, if you have this pattern that is ingrained, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's this non-stop noise that can be daunting and haunting. And I want to share that with you because I want you to know I understand. I get it. It's real, it's exhausting and overwhelming. It can be a lot. And I also want to say this that it is important to, and this is again, here's the antidote to what just happened to me in real time, is to follow up with a reframe or self compassion. Here's the reframe, and I'm going to share it with you so that you can see how quickly I can do it and that you can learn to do it that quickly as well. The reframe is yes, Kim, while you may say these same things over and over again in many of the podcast episodes, here's the beauty of saying them over and over again. Number one, sometimes we have to hear things more than once before it sets in. They're great reminders. What you're sharing on this episode is valuable information. Someone who is listening today could be a new listener and hasn't listened to all the other episodes. For that reason alone, it's important to repeat some of this information. It's powerful, impactful, and worth repeating. And I know that this stuff that I'm sharing with you, my 5 step power pathway, talking about perfectionism, talking about the antidote, I know that they are tried and true ways of overcoming perfectionism, of reprogramming the subconscious mind. I'm not the only one who talks about these concepts. I didn't invent reframing, I didn't invent self compassion and grace as an antidote to perfectionism. I'm sharing with you what wise teachers before me have shared with me that has made a huge, long lasting transformation in my life. And so, what I'm doing is paying it forward and sharing it with you. And so, it's worth repeating. There's nothing wrong in repeating the same thing or similar things in all of my episodes. If anything, I'm consistent, right? So I'm staying on brand and I am consistent in my message, which is simply that my hope, my desire, my wish for you is that you have the freedom to be your true self. My message and my mission is to help you take off the mask that you have been wearing so that you can be free to be your true self, the self that came into this world knowing that you are worthy just because you were born. And I also don't want you to have deathbed regrets where you get to the end of your life and say, I really regret that I didn't allow other people to see the real me. I didn't allow myself to be vulnerable, to show my imperfections, and I regret that. I spent a lifetime trying to be perfect and have everyone around me believe I was perfect. I was exhausted. I had no joy, no peace. I didn't know what it felt like to have closeness, to have intimacy, because I couldn't allow myself to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable would mean I was weak or less than perfect. These are the thoughts, these are the belief systems that I carried with me for many years. I speak this from personal experience, and I wish for you, my desire for you is that you can break that cycle, break that pattern in your life. And if you have children, you will be giving them such a huge gift as well. So that's why I will continue to show up over and over again, even though my message may be on repeat, because my message is my message. And there are only so many different ways to say the same thing. I really hope that you found this episode to be valuable. I hope you found it to be inspiring. I hope I was able to share my experience, my strength, and my hope with you, and that it might ignite a little spark in you to want to continue or just start doing the healing work of taking off the perfection mask, that you stop chasing perfection so that you can love yourself and you can find real, meaningful love in your life. I'll see you next time on Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists.
Hey, Kim Gross here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. I invite you to hop on over to my website, kimgrosscoaching.com. Right there on the front page, there's a quiz for people pleasers and perfectionists. You can find out if you have tendencies. You can also get into my newsletter where you will be given valuable content every week on different topics I share here in the podcast. And if you really did enjoy this episode, if you found it helpful, if you found it valuable, please go to, if you're on YouTube, go and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, then I invite you to leave a review. You can even do a star review. It doesn't have to be a written review. If you know of someone who can benefit from this podcast or this particular episode, please share it with them. I'll see you next time.